So welcome everyone to our 11th in a 12-week series of Book Yourself Solid series and how to book yourself solid in the real estate industry. And we're really grateful to be with Anthony Kazazis, our leader this morning, our mindful leader. And Robert was talking a little early about mindfulness. I can guarantee you're in the right place because Anthony, whenever we have business meetings, it's where we start and where we end. So you found your home for sure. This morning, we're going to be talking about connecting and building strong networks as a result of that connection, and how to do that in a way that feels really natural, authentic, and inspiring to you. Why? Because when it feels natural, authentic, and inspiring, you'll do more of it. And therefore, not only will you get booked solid, but Anthony and I were talking about, this isn't just for you, this is for your team member. If you have a new member on your team and they're just starting out, or maybe they're even a seasoned, experienced professional, but they're just starting out on your team, you would give them the biggest gift and the biggest gift to yourself to take them through the Book Yourself Solid series. We were just speaking with Robert. There's an illustrated version of Book Yourself Solid that's a brilliant, easy way to navigate through and to help you decide who you are as a human and who you are and what the gifts that you have to offer into the world. So really powerful stuff. So this morning, really, Bruce Boucher and I, my partner Bruce and I with Roos Advisors, we're going to be talking today, and we're going to be interviewing Anthony and talking about how did Anthony do it? How did he build this great tribe that's really an international organization? And how did he do that? So just a little bit more about Roos Advisors quickly. So Roos Advisors is a business consulting, coaching, and recruiting firm. And we have dedicated ourselves to the real estate industry, to real estate professionals, and any company who serves the real estate industry. So we dedicated ourselves to the real estate world and to anyone who serves the real estate industry. And Bruce and I are really grateful this morning to have Anthony Kazazis with us. And Anthony is the founder and the owner and CEO of the New York City Real Estate Expo and also the New York City Networking Group. And Roos Advisors and New York City Network Group and New York City Real Estate Expo decided to join together on some really special projects that Anthony's going to be giving you a little taste about, but really you're going to have to hold on tight because we're not really going to fully launch those until January. We'll give you a little bit of a teaser, right, this morning. So Anthony, welcome. Really glad to have you with us this morning and grateful that we're able to spend some time together. And the next thing I'm going to do is turn the time over to Bruce. Bruce, would you please give us some examples? You and I were talking with Anthony this morning about how you've built international networks and international speaking opportunities in COVID. How did you do that? Because I think it'll be a precursor into what we're going to talk about with Anthony this morning.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be with you. I welcome you from the West, bring you greetings from Salt Lake City, where it's going to be 70 degrees today and it's supposed to snow on Sunday. So we'll see how it all works out. But it's nice to be with everybody. Appreciate Larendee. I'd rather not talk so much about myself today. The idea of connecting is something that we all sort of struggle with, and we sometimes, I think, are a little bit reluctant really to explore things that would give us opportunities that we hadn't really dreamed about. And one of the things I love about what Grant Cardone talks about and what Larendee always encourages people to do is to think about circles. So you think about your circles of influence and sort of try to expand those over time, which is what I have done. And it's been amazing to me how opportunities have come my way by virtue of things like community service, being involved in my church, working. I'm a member of an organization that tries to create employment opportunities in third world countries, and sort of tries to foster an entrepreneurial spirit. And because of donating my time in that area, I've had opportunities to speak a lot. And even during COVID, I'll be speaking this afternoon to a group of about 220 people in Peru. Fortunately for me, I'm a bilingual. I speak Spanish fluently, and so I've done Mexico and portions of Mexico, and I'll do Peru today. Larendee and I were talking about an opportunity that has presented itself for us in Brazil, and these kinds of opportunities have come because of creating relationships in small circles that have grown over time. I think there are a couple keys. The first is being good at what you do. Kind of helps. I think when we're good at something, we become relevant, and when we're relevant, we're in. And it's interesting how we get put in positions to contribute and help because of that relevance. I think that's first and foremost. The other thing that I've found that's been very helpful is just being concerned about people and trying to help, being interested in what they're doing and how they're doing it. And then just looking for opportunities to build on these introductions and these relationships. Larendee, I'm reminded of the first huge acquisition that we did at Extra Space Storage was we bought a self-storage company from General Electric because they didn't want to be in the business anymore. And the company was 3 times the size of ours. And that whole journey began because our CEO was on a cruise with a bunch of people from GE. And they were so impressed with how kind and interested our CEO was that when he asked if they could sometime talk about that possibility, rather than being scoffed at or laughed about, they said, yeah, sure, we can talk about that. And over time, in investigating our CEO, they found out what an honorable and ethical person he was. And less than a year later, we were closing a $1 billion deal to buy a company 3 times our size. That circle started as a small circle, but became larger over time. And to me, that's part of the importance of the network of the associations that you have, and by being willing to let people into your network and being willing to let them see who you are and what you're about creates opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't have dreamed of having. So I would just encourage all of us to think about that. How are we presenting ourselves? How are we portraying ourselves? How are we reaching out to groups, friends and associates and people that we today don't know that we will ultimately know? Just some thoughts.
Amazing. It's true that kindness connection and important being kind. And you talked about Ken and his, the cruise. And the truth is that those relationships were cultivated over even years prior to that. And one of the things I've told this story often, that, in the real estate industry, it's often well, who gives the best price? And price, of course, is an important consideration. But I remember, Bruce, being able to make really good deals for ourselves, and we were not always the highest price, but what people could count on was a kind relationship, and a truthful relationship, and one that was done completely out of integrity. And so there were often times, and especially in the early days, pre-GE purchase, when we would be going in and competing against other larger companies, and we're still able to successfully purchase portfolios at prices less than, not substantially, but it could be a few $1 million less than one of the competitors. because they knew that our word meant something. And if we made an offer, that offer stood, and there wasn't going to be a lot of retrading outside of what, normal contingencies might have been. So,
and if I could jump in, just a quick example of that integrity and also of that relevance that you deliver, which becomes your own personal brand. In this transaction, this particular CEO that we're talking about, his name is Ken, actually worked for a season for a competitor of ours in the self-storage business. And he worked for them because they went through a really difficult time. He had a financial arrangement with them, and he lost a lot of money. But rather than walking away, he decided that he'd work for them as a means of paying them back. Well, not only was that an effort on personal integrity and really sort of making himself relevant and living his truth, if you will, that became the linchpin for GE to decide that it was worth it for them to take a risk. Because after they heard that story, they were like, this is the kind of person I want to be in business with. And this is the kind of person we want to sell our company to. Those are, as Larendee said, those were decisions that and efforts that were made years before that years later paid off. I think we look at these circles sometimes and we look at them as what's in the immediate, which is great. And we need to do that, obviously. But it's also about building those circles over time. We need to wear well in the long run. And that's a challenge for all of us, I think. And something that Anthony has done really, really well, by the way.
So amazing. So let's move on to Anthony then. And Anthony, you're the founder of the New York City Real Estate Expo and the New York City Network Group. We would love to hear your story of how you got started and what that kind of journey has been for you.
Great, guys. Hey, thanks a lot, Larendee. Thanks, Bruce. And thanks all the attendees. Guys, when I got started in this business, basically I was a good boy. My mom was in the real estate business. She had a Section 21 office in Katona, Westchester County, and my father was an attorney. So basically my mom, in high school, I got my license. I took my test and got licensed, and I worked with my mother in the real estate business. And I also did paralegal work for my father. So I went back and forth to the city, to Westchester, back and forth, helping my parents. I went to a couple expos in the real estate industry with my mother, and I must have been about 18, 19, 20 years old, and just fascinated with it, really fascinated with it. Once I graduated from college, I started my own mortgage business. And of course, I went to more expos. And I just love the fact of it, but it was kind of pricey. Some of these expos would be about approximately these expos would be about maybe $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. So it was kind of pricey for me to be an exhibitor and sponsor. And so I always went as an attendee. But I was always saying to myself, you got to be at these shows. You got to be at these shows. You got to get an exhibit. You got to meet all these people, get all these business cards. It's a great thing. Eye to eye, handshake to handshake, voice to voice, just talking and just being able to connect personally. And again, what Bruce was saying about being really friendly, if you got the right personality as well, and you're really giving and understanding and just saying, agreeing with them and following up, that's pretty much all it is. So basically, when I was in the mortgage industry and I was doing that for about 10 or 15 years, I hung that up and went to work with my brother in the title industry. And I went to more expos. And again, I was paying top dollar to attend. And also, because a lot of these shows as well are anywhere between $50 to $1,000 just to attend. So that's in Manhattan, guys. And if you want to exhibit, it could be anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 to exhibit. So I basically was working for my brother, and I said to John, let me put together something. Let me do something. It wasn't the expo I had in mind. I actually did a BNI. I went to BNI, went there for like 3 or 4 times. I actually signed up, paid the dollars, it was kind of expensive with BNI. So I went there and I noticed that I was the only guy really helping everybody. I had leads for everybody, but nobody really had leads for me. So I said, you know what, let me just start my own BNI. So I went and reached out to a whole bunch of people, about maybe 20 people, and I said, guys, let's just go have breakfast and talk and just get to just network. That's all. And it happened. It just definitely happened. And I asked, the thing that I would do all the time is bring in a special guest. Just bring in someone who's really great, like a guy like Bruce or Larendee, and talk about their experience. And they would be up there talking and everybody enjoyed it. So then I asked at the end, hey guys, invite a guest. And they would. So go from 20 to 60 to 80 to 100 to 120 to 200. It just kept on getting bigger. My problem was just trying to find a diner that could help us and have more space. And it actually went to a hotel to go up to the 300 to 400 range. And then after a while, I just said, you know what? Bingo. I got up, drew some plans saying, guys, we're going to do an expo. And the prices are going to start at $500, not $2,000, $3,000, $500 for a small booth or a share, and then $750 and then $1,000 or something. So we started small and we came up with a Queens Real Estate Expo. I started off in Queens. I'll show you like a little picture. It's in the magazine. I showed this to Larendee the other day. But over here it says like one man's dream about doing an expo. And then you can see the diner. You can see everybody in the diner. And over here you see everybody raising their hand in the diner. So you see everybody there. And I think this picture is I had one of the guys, the guest speakers, speak about memory. And this guy was amazing. He had an amazing memory, talent. So everybody loved it. The biggest problem is that I did the Queens Real Estate Expo for 2 years. And I realized that, I should be doing this expo in New York City. And that was the disaster. That was like a sadness to the Queens people because I closed it down in Queens. Queens Real Estate Expo converted to NYC Real Estate Expo. So we had it in Manhattan. And of course, Manhattan is the place to be because everybody, the tri-state will come to Manhattan. Tri-state really won't go to Queens, but they'll go to Manhattan. So obviously from a 20 to a 40 to 100 to 200 to 500, it converted right into an expo, right to an expo. So the BNI, my BNI, I created this BNI and it just went because I did it myself. Anyway, so basically that's how it all started, okay? By just bringing people together because everybody has a drive and a desire to come together and network. So they have this love, and of course their companies are pushing them to get out and network, especially if it's a reasonable price. And forget about it. It was pouring in. I think Bruce, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you a follow-up question. That's a great story, and I love the pictures. Thanks for sharing those, Anthony. So, so do you still have contact with your dinerites? I mean, do you still get together? Do you still have relationships?
These guys, the people in the beginning have been loyal and they've been following me. It's tri-state, so it was Queens, so it's not that far to jump on over to Manhattan. Then when I went to Manhattan, I did start these forums. Again, these breakfast forums over at the bar building. It's a bar building, meaning it's the New York lawyers, attorneys bar building. Beautiful place. And we had now forums. And it was all the exotic guys. You're talking about the Malcolms, the Dursts, the big brokers, the big owners, the big Offer Your Denny, all these big developers, because everybody wants to come in and shake their hand. And they want to be able to do that. Because I remember when I was in the title insurance business, again, I was spending about $300 to $400 just to go and hear these guys speak and want to shake their hands and wanted a little fame there to get it close to them and say, hi, I'm Anthony Kazazis, So basically I was able to do that because a lot of these powerful men that have it all, they want the audience. They want the ability to speak. Some people that are moving up the ladder, they're going to ask for money. They're going to ask for maybe, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 to speak. Okay. Well, a good little story is Barbara Corcoran. My goal was never to reach out to them. Let them reach out to you. Even back then, I would never reach out to any of these people. Let them come to you, because if they come to you, then you don't have to pay them. They want your audience. They want to be able to get up there and speak in front of their audience. So basically, yeah, the diner people that we started off with, yeah, they've been loyal and they've been coming to the city. They've been going to the forums. They've been going to the expos. And yes, Bruce, the answer is yeah, they want to go to these networking events. They miss the fact that I'm not in Queens, having that intimate BNI gathering, but it just got so big that we had to take it to a bigger place. And it became the expo, where now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 people are coming.
What you just described about the diner is the perfect problem.
Oh,
right. It's
yeah.
outgrowing the location because people want to be there. That's great.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
well done. So, Anthony, how have you deepened connections in the 2020 environment? I mean, now we fast forward and we are where we are right now. We've got COVID, we've got technologies, we've got all kinds of things. How are you doing it now?
Okay, now, geez, for when COVID came out, just like everybody else, it's depressing. Oh my God, this is my life. It's the expo, it's my life. And like everybody knows that all these live shows have been canceled. Our show was November 2nd. So, especially in Manhattan. And so a lot of things are going crazy in Manhattan. And and ours was just right before Election Day. So we figure that it's not going to happen. And of course, now it's been canceled. And we did have a backup date, June 23rd, 21. But the conditions that they want us to do and obey just don't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. So I elected not to do it in 21 as well and just wait for 22, unless it's an outdoor type of event. Okay, but indoors in Manhattan is very hard. I am over here. I do have a farm in Michigan, and I am looking at Detroit as well, because over here they have bigger space and it costs less. So instead of an NYC Real Estate Expo, I am looking at possibly a national show here in Detroit, in Michigan. So again, that's like sideline right now. What we are doing is this: webinars. A lot of our clients that paid us $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for a booth, we are now offering them webinars. So for a certain price, we give them 3 webinars. For like $1,000, we give them 3 webinars. Okay, but what I also did is created a think tank group like Larendee. She's a part of the think tank group. So those clients could also be a special guest on my think tank members groups. So instead of getting 3, they might walk away with 6 webinars in 3 months. We analyzed in 3 months, wasn't worth it. They got 3 custom webinars for themselves, all about them, whether they go solo, whether they go fire chat, whether they go testimonial, whether they go educational or panel. They can do whatever they want to do, even give it out to a gift to a client that will give them back business. So basically, my associate, Julie Duquette, who works with me, we are now reaching out to all of our clients about doing these webinars. And they're out there. We're pushing them out there, and all of our clients are reaching out and saying, we want to do the same thing. So it's working. So instead of going to the expo and spending about $2,000, they are now having their own trade show every month about them. So we're promoting them, okay, every month. So, and then of course, as a special guest, they could be on someone else's webinar as well. And then after 3 months, we analyze it and we ask them, let's do it again. Our ultimate goal is to do 12 custom webinars for them. Okay. throughout a year for them to promote themselves all year round. And it's working. We give them the email addresses, we give them the recorded copies. So thank God that that's working and that's keeping us in the business. And hopefully maybe in a year or two, we'll be back up again with these live shows.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing, Bruce.
And just to reemphasize one of the things that one of the points that you made, I think it's really interesting that you went from a sort of a handshake, backslapping, personal relationship, got to look them in the eye. Now over time, given the conditions that we're in, you're doing what you can do virtually, and you've given your followers some wonderful alternatives and some great ways to continue to work and stay in business. I think that's just a marvelous story. Thanks for sharing. Give me one challenge that you had to overcome as you've moved into this world of technology. What's been the biggest issue for you and your company?
Geez, a challenge. We basically, it's I guess it was like a little bit of a fear factor as to where it's going to go. But like I said, we've been around the block. We've been out there for 12 years. Julie and I have established a nice database of clients. So we kind of we didn't know, it's kind of like an unknown as to where this is going to go. But Zoom makes it kind of easy. There's so many other type of platforms out there that we could use. But what I've been noticing is that I've been interviewing a lot of my clients about, do you want to do an expo virtually, and do you want to set up a booth virtually? And I would have to say about 60 to 70% of my clients are not interested because they all had bad experiences. And that's why I'm putting a lot of my efforts into doing these webinars that make sense, because these platforms, they're costing us just as much as the venue space. They could be anywhere from $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 to create. So that means that if I may have to charge you $3,000, $4,000 just to be on this virtual platform. And so instead, we're going to be doing these Zooms. And then on the bottom, there'll be breakout rooms for the exhibitors. So if someone's not interested in this topic, in this conversation, this panel, they could go downstairs and start chit-chatting with, say, RCN or Chase Manhattan Bank or Terrence Dunn Law Firm or Property Shark. They could go down and start chit-chatting and then go back up and go to a different panel. So again, our expo will be out there March, April. We haven't decided yet. It'll be 3 days because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to come and speak for 15 minutes. I think the 15-minute topic about explaining about your businesses is awesome. Sometimes these 45-minute panels are kind of long, and it's hard for them to stay on board and stay connected with it. So we did a great job at our expo. We did have the panels for the media, like Commercial Observer, the Real Estate Weekly, the New York Real Estate Journal, the Man Report, the Habitat, all the papers, Post, the Wall Street Journal. They had their panels for about an hour. But we did have guys like Stephen, Robert, David, Patricia over here. We had them that wanted to be a part of the expo and speak for 15 minutes. So that is another thing that we're good at, and they get out there and they promote their business. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's great. That's great stuff.
Thank you, Anthony. And thank you, Bruce, for such amazing facilitation. Please put your questions into the chat. If you're, wherever you are in the cycle of your business, being in front of prospects and just practicing the art of conversation is really something that we highly recommend. I had someone reach out to me the other day asking if they should participate in a podcast because they weren't sure how many followers the podcast had and was it going to be worth their time. And my simple response was, have you accumulated your 10,000 hours of practice yet? And if you haven't, then you should say yes. that this is every opportunity that you have to connect. And I think that's one of the things that you demonstrated, Anthony. This is all about connection and how you were able to connect one person by three, by six, by nine, and then exponentially it grew. And as we know, that this desire to connect is one of our 6 basic human needs, and it's right in the middle of the basic stability towards growth and contribution. Right in the center is this a desire to connect. And so I always said that one of the things I always wanted to be known for was to be able to be a really strong connector. That if you had a need or you had something that you needed, whether I could take care of it for you or not, I could find someone who could. And that comes as a result of building those connections. And then that connection, that human to human, that divine soul to divine soul connection, there's nothing I think that's more powerful. So something else that struck me, Anthony, is you haven't forgotten where this journey started. When we speak frequently, you hold up that magazine and you talk about not just about what you did, but the people that supported you. So how have you been able to remember and help those people who helped you in that diner? What has been the method you have used to keep them connected to you so that what you started, really has had legs? What have you done?
The great thing about it, of course, is it's always trying to help people. It's a joy to always help people. A lot of people will call up and said, I need this or I need that. I need a good connection. I need a good referral. And right now we picked up a firm in Florida, Julie and I, to do webinars. It's a big, beautiful, beautiful development. It's like its own little city in Florida. And what's made the deal solid and what I think they really fell in love with, they loved all the features about the webinar. They loved the fact that I'm going to connect them with a moderator that's affiliated with a big firm like Halstead / Brown Harris Stevens. I mean, they love that. They love the fact that we're introducing them to a moderator that has that big power behind it as well. And then the deciding thing is that not only will we do these webinars for you, but we will also pick up the phone for you and start making introductions for you ASAP, right away. So the great thing about when you do these expos, and I've done these expos all these years, is you're able to connect with some really powerful people. Like I'm talking about CEOs. So I can literally pick up the phone and call the CEO of Brown Harris Stevens. I can pick up the phone and call the CEO of Halstead, Douglas Elliman, and Corcoran. And if these people need that type of connections, I'm able to do it. So you do that little extra, and you tell them to write a little paragraph, send it over to you, and then I'll make sure that we send it to the right people at the right places. And I think they're more excited about that than the webinar itself, because they know that that's a solid connection. That's a solid connection. And so you got to go the extra mile. You just got to definitely go the extra mile and keep on thinking of ways. Now, Larendee, you came to me, you're an exhibitor, and we do charge for the expo. We charge like $69, it goes to $89, and then it goes to $120. But still, we're a lot better than our Manhattan competitors that are at $350 and $500 and $1,000. But still, a lot of people like to come to an expo and they like to see that there's a cost to it. So it's not free where people are running in there and just taking all the items off the tables. They want serious clients, so they definitely want a cost. I'm the type of guy that I don't want to charge. I want it to be free. But everybody's telling me that they're not going to come to my expo. They're not going to be an exhibitor unless there's a cost to it. So it's true. You have to have a little value to it. But the thing I said to you, Larendee, is I'll give you 30 passes because I want you to be busy the whole day. I want you to do your homework as well. I want you to pick up the phone and call brokers and be a great host and tell them, I'm going to buy your ticket. Come on down to the expo. I'm paying for it. It's not free, but I'm going to buy your ticket. So I'm going to get you a pass. I'm going to get the pass. I'm going to type up your name. I'm going to send it to you. and come on down and meet me at my booth. And by the way, bring some extra business cards because this is a great show. You're going to meet some great people. So that's the extra mile. You just got to go that extra mile and make sure that you make these people happy because you want them back next year. You definitely want them back next year. So you got to go that little extra mile and just really, truly, help them, especially if they're calling for help.
You implemented the red velvet rope policy by saying, you listened to your exhibitors, and it wasn't the most expensive exhibitor, booth I had ever paid for. It wasn't the least. But what I knew was that because there was a charge for admission, then the people that would be there would be serious about their business. And so there's often this idea that, that we shouldn't charge because we just need to get as many people in the net as possible. And what we really can find is that to the extent that we value ourselves, others will value us as well. So what advice would you give to someone who's, a participant today, and they want to grow their business and they know that networking is an important piece, but maybe they're a little afraid of it? What advice would you give to them? Or maybe they don't know how to start, or they don't know what to do, where to go. What advice would you give to them?
To be honest with you, it's a little work, but it's fun work. Stephen, can you unmute? You're an architect, right?
Right.
You are. All right, Stephen should be reaching out right now. Okay, you can't really do the diner stuff. You can't do the B&I stuff, but Stephen right now should be reaching out to at least 20 guys and start his own B&I right now, webinar right now. You should be reaching out to 4 or 5 brokers, 4 or 5 developers, 4 or 5 bankers, 4 or 5 attorneys. Reach out to your inner circle right now and start this little gathering right now, this networking gathering right now, and watch how powerful that thing grows. It will grow. And you gotta, Stephen, you could have someone speak all the time for 20 minutes, then the rest could be all networking. You could talk about all the laws, the rules, what's going on in your industry, but you got to keep on going after those people. And then you got to ask them to invite someone. And Steve, you'll have a monster business. You'll have a monster network. Mm-hmm. And business will come in. They'll start to like you because you seem like a great guy. You're always on this stuff, like David and Robert. You're always committed. You're here. I started something. I know Brian's on the phone. Brian, unmute yourself too. I started something up because Brian Anthony Phillips is a broker. And I started something up with Brian, the Millionaire Thinkers. And these guys they're fantastic. You got Brian, you got Taiwan, you got Derek, and they started up their webinars. And these guys could go beyond. They could speak at colleges. I've been telling Derek and Brian, you can speak at colleges, you can speak at churches. I told Derek the other day, you should be writing a book. So it could just grow and grow and grow. It could definitely grow. I now have created an advisory board with Larendee and Bruce and Julie and different people. We created a nice advisory board because I know we could take this expo networking group beyond. But Brian, are you happy with your webinars?
I am. I can't say I was comfortable doing it initially. I enjoy doing it. It's a great exposure. It's great, to get my name out there and also to be a role model. As you said, we want to eventually go into churches and colleges. And I think it's great to have positive role models in our communities. And I think that's important. People who are, that people can, because that's what we lack in communities of color is role models. So I think I'm happy to be a part of that.
I'm so proud of Brian, Derek, and Taiwan because I can see it really growing, and they are the nicest guys, and they are true role models. And there's going to be a tremendous, like I said, even the young professional of color are going to come into this industry, and they're going to look up to them, and they're going to be there to help them. And I'm so proud of these guys because they do have a big database already. We have a lot of attendees. So we want them now to do this big networking thing. I want to go on their networking thing and be a guest speaker. I'm waiting for them to start their networking once a month. So yeah, Stephen, Robert, everybody, all the attendees, think about that. Really start thinking about that, because you'll be so excited and so happy.
I was just going to ask this follow-up question. You've been talking about the webinars and so forth. The specific question is, what days of the week are best, and what times do you find to be the most productive?
Oh, geez, you guys got to really follow the American holiday calendars and the Jewish calendars. So you just can't be on any of those days. So basically you just have to, I would have to say like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is really good, as long as it's not on any holidays, you know?
Yeah. And then the follow-up to that is, do you promote yourself as the sponsor of the webinar?
No, you know something, I haven't in the past, but we're gearing up for something pretty interesting. And again, the expo right now, I see it like, oh boy, it's going to become virtual. It's not that big live trade show anymore. So now we're thinking of a national and global networking event. It's going to take some time to come out with it. I know Larendee's pushing early. I'm pushing a little bit late, but that's what's great about having an advisory board, to have Larendee push me to make it go faster. But this is going to be a great thing. This is going to be a national show of tremendous amount of networking. I just told Stephen what to do. This is what we're going to do on the hour every day. And then you guys come on and also pick up all these names as well to capture some of these email addresses, so you guys can start your networking thing as well. So, but the thing is that we do have a global thing, which is going to be exciting. On my expo site, you do have an agenda page. We're going to be putting together a 104 agenda of all the CEOs around the world to talk about the global market. So it's going to be almost like a LinkedIn platform, but more personal and more intimate, not as complicated, but we want to get it out there. We want to let people know that here are the big guys, CEO of CBRE, Cushman Wakefield, JLL, Sotheby's, all these different companies. Not just that, it could be developers, it could be management firms, it could be big bankers. They're going to talk about the markets, and everybody around the world is going to want to zoom in, whether it's from Greece, Israel, Russia, China, whatever. It's probably going to be sold out every month. So one of these type of things is this, it's the video, it's the recorded copy video that we'll have for people to view and to check it out. And it's great to hear these masterminds talk about what's going on, because I always tell people, if you're if you want to jump into some type of industry, find the best guy and just listen to him and start thinking and memorizing how he's talking and getting to his brain, about how he approaches the whole market. So yeah, Bruce.
Learn from the best is a great counsel. I
best.
also like that you've used two words repeatedly, right now. And I commend that to everybody on the call today, right now. We often think I can do that in a week, I can do that in a month, I can do that. In adult learners, if we don't do something immediately, the chances of us doing it are very, very slim. And so I like what you're saying about right now. I love that.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it one more time. David, again, your business. David, what's your business again?
I'm a marketing manager.
Marketing manager. Again, you got to figure out who could benefit from your business, and you got to call those guys, right? Like I said to Stephen, put that together and do it now. Just do it now. Just do it. That Nike commercial, just do it or something. But you got to do it and start this networking thing right away.
So we're bringing in people, even Steve is bringing in people that would be helpful to him. What is the motivation and for those people to come? Is it the content?
Well, obviously it's networking. And obviously Steve could probably refer some people to them, and people could refer people to Stephen. That's what it's all about. It's just connecting. It's a nonchalant, it's a free BNI. You're not going to charge. It's a free BNI. Just get it started and let it grow. And then you know what? Maybe when it gets up to 100, 200 or 300, 400, then you can start thinking about charging. What I did is I had people just pay for the breakfast. Yeah, I had people pay for the breakfast. Come on in. And then I got them. I got them right where I want them. When I said I'm going to do this expo, and they all dumped in. They all jumped in. They all jumped in to pay for the booth. And then when I realized I had 100 booths, I go, wow, I'll go pay the venues. I'll go pay the venue. Let's do it because everybody wants to do it. But this is a free networking BNI. You're building yourselves up. We want you guys to build yourselves up because we're going to come after you. We're going to make sure that you're linked to our global network as well. We want you guys to be successful because we're going to come after you as well. And we're going to tell you, tie yourself up with us.
David, you had a follow-up question. Is that right?
Yeah, the follow-up question was this, Anthony, are you finding that people are itching to communicate at this time, or are they taking it back a little?
Yeah, they're taking it back, but you got to be the pusher. You got to be the motivator. You got to get them motivated. People are a little bit lost. I went outside and gardened for about 3 months, planted. I was like trying to figure out what's going on with the expo. I can't believe this. I can't believe I worked 12 years and I finally got it. I finally asked for more real estate to make more money because I needed more booths. From 150, I wanted to get up to 200. And I actually paid for the extra space. So I said, oh, I can't believe it. So things have changed, but you know what? I'm glad that I was able to connect with Larendee and Bruce and others to start this new business, which it's going to be global. It's exciting to think about it. And it's exciting to get ready to start. I'm speaking already. I spoke to already about 20 big guys around big firms, and they're all saying yes. They'll give me a topic, they'll give me a write-up, and they'll be ready to go. I just don't know what the dates are. I told them I don't know what your dates are yet, but we'll come up with the good dates. We're going to start off with CBRE because I love this guy, Mr. Siegel. He's the global head marketing guy of CBRE. We'll follow up with Cushman and then JLL and then NAI Global. And it just keeps on going right down. Aveston Young, Marcus and Millichap. And then the residential side, we'll start off with Sotheby's, Anchor Volkers, all these different companies, Halstead, Corcoran, that will go right down the side as well. But we're going to be giving them information about the market, what's going on, where to invest, where to spend your money, where to go. This is good information. It's really good information especially for real estate brokers.
I think the other, Anthony, that people want is to be able to go together, right? So is it more fun to eat lunch alone, or is it nice to go with someone? And so really, by providing these networking opportunities, you're providing an opportunity for people to go together. And we always say, do it together. It's better, right? So Anthony, Roos Advisors and the network group deciding to come together was an elevation for both of our businesses, and that yin and that yang that we both bring. So, find someone who also wants to connect and do it together. And then it's never all about us anyway. So that's one of the things people say, well, what would I talk about? Well, how could I talk for 45 minutes? Well, don't. We use the adage, wait. Why am I talking? And give people a platform to share what their hopes and dreams and desires are. And then coming together, it starts with 4 or 5, people, and then it grows to 8 to 10 to so forth. So, and there's all kinds of organizations like this that exist, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but there's always people that you're meant to serve, that you're meant to bring together, that can only be brought together in the way that you can. And so there's room for you. Of course, BNI is a very busy, big, large international organization, but there's still room. There's still room for more expos and more networking groups. And so we're excited about what we have coming. And so stay tuned. You're going to start to receive drip messages. We're after it. As we close today, Anthony, Bruce had to say see you later because he has to go deal with the speaking engagement that he's doing this morning.
Sure.
But just you have about 2 minutes to share on an international platform one takeaway, one philosophy, one message that you would like to leave. What would that message be? What would your yes.
You guys got to be persistent. That's all. Just got to follow up. Just do it. Jump into it. I actually like this where we are right now with COVID, because I don't like COVID, but I like the fact that you guys got the ability to start this little B&I yourself. Okay. The reason why I wanted to create the networking event is because when you go to B&I, you're seeing the same faces over and over and over again. With Larendee and Julie and myself, with our networking event, you're going to see different faces every single day. If you want to do it once a day or twice a day, 3 times a day, or you want to do it every other day or every day, you're going to see so many faces. And you'll have the ability to have their email addresses as well, so you could get to learn who they are. Yes, we do need a little time to put this thing together so it's full, but you'll be able to jump in and say, wow. And everybody's talking. Everybody's going to have their time to talk and tell exactly who everybody is. So that's where the intimate comes in. LinkedIn is great, but it's got to be live. It's like speed networking is fantastic, but we're going to be consistent every day. It's going to take time to build it, but we're building it, and it's going to be exciting, and you guys will all benefit from it. You'll all benefit from it, but you guys should just start up your networking events. I mean, your networking Zoom thing. It's free, it's fun, it's great, and business will come out of it. It will. Great business will come out of it. You'll get some business. You'll definitely get some business out of it.
So next week is our final episode in this series. We're going to have 2 incredible women, Suzanne Rosnowski, who is the owner of Relevance International, owner and founder, a PR firm in New York City, an international PR firm with offices in New York City, Los Angeles, and London. And we're also going to have Joy Schaffler, who is a former owned a PR and marketing and branding and consulting firm, who now is a private equity investor, specifically in technology firms and a little bit of real estate. So they're going to be on our call next week. You definitely want to join that. And then stay tuned because we do have another exciting series coming up. That series is going to move to Monday. It's at 12 o'clock. And it will be with myself and another member from Anthony's tribe. And we're really excited about that. It's going to be all about real estate. We're going to be talking about what the trends are, what the predictions are, so you can make plans. We're really excited about that. So stay tuned. First one will be November 16th. We're going to take about a month away so that we can plan, and that'll be a 52-week series. So it'll be pre-recorded as well. We're going to have amazing guests that Anthony's going to help, that we're all going to bring to the table. Some of the people that Anthony talked about. And Anthony's working every day on bringing exciting content with Brian and Taiwan and Derek is just an example. So definitely stay tuned to the New York City Network Group. Stay connected to Anthony. You're going to have everything you ever needed to know to build a successful, thriving real estate business by staying really connected to this group. So thank you. Have an amazing, wonderful day. And thank you, Anthony, again. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you this morning.
Thank you, Larendee. Thank you. Thanks, guys.